LED to play.
Welcome into Hoop Streams. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app. Christine Williamson and Gary Striewski in the building. Gary, how you doing?
I'm great.
Looking tan, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Entirely too tan. The Striewski family loves a cruise.
Yeah, that's the first thing I
mean?
noticed when I saw G-Money in the studio. I was
we
like,
were
whoa.
baking out there in the Caribbean.
Love that for you. Good job.
Thanks.
We are not the only two that are here. We got Brian Windhorst in his home gym, per usual. Brian, great to see you. How are you doing this fine evening?
Not as tan as Gary, but we'll all persevere.
That's fine.
Well, it's fine.
We
Nobody's
can
as tan as me either, so it's
artificially
fine.
fake and bake.
What?
We can fake and bake. Actually, no, I don't prescribe
Don't do that.
I
Don't
don't
do that.
prescribe
No.
Get the real vitamin D.
Okay, we're getting you guys ready for Bulls Raptors today at 7 p.m. A lot to get to. We're going to talk a little Twitter beef a little later.
Yes, just
which is my favorite
unnecessary.
thing.
Out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah, a little drama. But as you guys know, we've already had a couple of play-in games, so we're going to start there. First, with the Timberwolves taking on the Lakers. So the NBA world asked for it, and we got it. The 2023 postseason will officially feature LeBron, AD, and the Lakers following a thrilling overtime victory over the T-Wolves last night to secure the 7 seed as they squeezed out a 108-102 win. LeBron and AD combined for 54 points on an impressive 60% from the field against a Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels-less Wolves, because, you know, punching things. They almost threw it away at the end of regulation before securing the dub in overtime. Brian, I'm going to start with you on this one. What impressed or possibly disappointed you with what the Lakers did last night?
Well, there wasn't a lot impressive about that game, but here's the thing. Like, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes you got to be good to win bad.
Yeah.
And so the thing about the Lakers, they didn't have a lot going for them in this game. They didn't have the greatest intensity and focus coming out. They definitely got outplayed by the Wolves in the first half. And then down the stretch, like, there was only a couple of guys out there, frankly, who looked like they wanted to be in the game. But LeBron and AD were one of them. And the second thing is they defended. And, like, I think the Wolves made it easy on them. Like, there were, like, whole minutes where the ball didn't go inside the three-point arc and nobody who got the ball wanted to take it inside the three-point arc. But the Lakers get credit for that. The difference between this team this year and, like, the Nets last year, where people were like, oh my gosh, a dangerous 7 seed, and then they got yanked out by the Celtics in 4 games, is that the Lakers actually defend. So their defense let them keep this game close and gave them a chance to win it. They're going to need that defense in the next round, and they're going to need a lot better offense than they played in this game if they're going to try to pull any out against the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
2 points that I saw that exact thing, especially down the stretch. It was like the Timberwolves thought inside the three-point line was, you know, the floor is lava. They were scared to, like, penetrate the three-point line. 1 point, objectively speaking, it's better for the NBA to have the Lakers in the playoffs when you have LeBron, when you have AD, when you have the storylines. But part of me was kind of hoping the Timberwolves pulled off that win, because I would have loved to see the reaction in the locker room sound bites of the Timberwolves now then going back to Minnesota and then having to accept Rudy Gobert back for the first opening round series because it's a guy that they left off of the plane for throwing the punch at Kyle Anderson, who had some costly turnovers in the final couple of minutes last night. It would have been a weird dynamic having to have the Timberwolves now reintegrate Rudy Gobert back into the playoffs after they just got done taking care of business, knocking off the Lakers, a game, you know, they weren't supposed to win anyway. And then, oh yeah, everything's fine. Rudy's back in the lineup. Let's go win a playoff series. Okay, that would have just been an interesting dynamic to talk about.
Another interesting dynamic to talk about is the Lakers taking on the Grizzlies, because, you know, there's a little drama between these two teams. Okay, so they're set to square off on Sunday. That's game 1 at 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC. So this is the 23rd franchise that LeBron James has faced in the postseason, which, by the way, is a new record.
Crazy.
We had all the drama with these two teams during the season. Of course, the Shannon Sharp situation. We love when people buck up and just, like, want to fight. Give us an early preview of what you expect to see from this first round matchup, Brian.
Okay, so I'm going to prepare you guys right now. There is going to be some complaining about the officiating. I can see it on the horizon, clear as day, because here's the thing. The Lakers draw fouls, okay? I know that everybody thinks that the Lakers get preferential treatment, although Lakers fans don't think so, because we had that game earlier this year in Boston where the referees actually apologized to the Lakers, which was weird, but let's put that aside. The Lakers go into the paint and they get fouls. LeBron and AD are two of the leaders in the league in getting shots off in the paint. And Austin Reeves is like half of his game is going in there and getting fouled. So here's what's going to happen. The Lakers, knowing that the Grizzlies, the most important part of their defense is Jaren Jackson. I just voted for him on Monday for Defensive Player of the Year. Since he came back from his early season injury, they've been the #1 defense. His metrics say he's far and away the most impactful defensive player in the league. Tremendous shot blocker, tremendous rebounder, makes their defense really go, but fouls a ton. Like, his kryptonite is he fouls. And he mostly fouls because he's trying to make plays. He doesn't make lazy fouls. He sometimes makes not smart fouls. So if you're the Lakers and you know that Steven Adams in there, and you know that Brandon Clark in there, and that their second big man is Santi Aldama, who is, in his second year, very inexperienced in this situation, you're going at him. And so I expect the Lakers to pressure the referees to try to get them to call fouls on Jaren Jackson to get him out of the game. And that's going to be their strategy from game 1 on. And it worked last night. They did the exact same thing with Karl Towns. And after Karl Towns got in foul trouble with his 4th foul, he was not the same player. And part of it was, I think he was fatigued from not having Gobert there, but that's a different story. So look for the Lakers to do that. And for the Grizzlies to totally take advantage of their speed and quickness and more athleticism on the perimeter. They're going to put up points. Way more harder to guard team than Minnesota was. But man, oh man, I am prepared for these coaches willing to get fined in post-game press conferences trying to apply pressure to the referees like we got Phil Jackson in his prime again.
That's incredible. All of that about the defense. Listen, you can't be nicknamed the Block Panther and not receive Defensive Player of the Year votes. And also, Jaren Jackson Jr., he's a guy who will give you 30 points out of nowhere. He's a guy who can splash from 3. I think the one thing that's not hardcore basketball focus that I'm keying in on is just Dillon Brooks being an agitator. We already heard him say, hey, this is going to be great to knock off LeBron. Yeah, we get to take on, LeBron. He's been the villain all season long, and now he gets a bigger stage to become a bigger villain. And I know everybody is looking forward to seeing what kind of antics, what kind of a pest can Dillon Brooks elevate himself to in this opening round series.
Okay, so you talk about the fact that Dillon Brooks has said that he's excited to knock off LeBron in the first round. There's another guy who said he has no concerns about anybody in the West, and that is one Ja Morant. Now, of course, Memphis Grizzlies, very young team. LeBron James, Lakers, they've been there before. So, Wendy, I'm going to ask you this. Is there more pressure on this young Memphis team or LeBron to get a win in the first round?
I think LeBron is retired from pressure. I think the only thing that would be an issue is if the Lakers get a lead in this series. They get up, 2-1, they get up 3-2, and they're in position to move on to the next round, and then he doesn't close the deal. That would be a bad look. The Grizzlies are supposed to win. They're the #2 seed. Ja Morant runs around like he's on pogo sticks. He just looks like he has different flow of gravity than everybody else around him. And that is so hard to guard over the course of a long playoff series. The other thing I'll say here is Anthony Davis. This has got to be Anthony Davis's time to shine. And the series may come down to, we could go over analytics and pick and roll coverages, and I could talk about fouls. If Ja Morant is the superstar of the series, the Grizzlies are going to win. If Anthony Davis is the superstar of the series, there's a good chance the Lakers are going to win. I know LeBron's going to be good. LeBron has been good in just about every playoff game for the last 18, 17 years. So that's not in question. It's going to really be Ja versus Anthony Davis, even though they're not really playing head-to-head. That's what I'm watching in this one.
Wendy, I know you say that LeBron has sort of retired away from the pressure, but I think that's the reason there's more pressure on the Lakers, because I know you'll like this analogy. LeBron's simply running out of runway to now go deep in the playoffs and get another ring. He only has a handful of years left to truly pursue one of those. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies, they're all 20-something. Yeah. They're going to be in the league the next dozen years. They're going to have plenty of opportunities to be a 2 seed, to be a 1 seed, to get to the finals. How many chances does LeBron legitimately have in the rest of his career? We can probably count them on one hand, and I think that's the only reason why there's just far more pressure on the Lakers to get the job done. And I think coincidentally, not coincidentally, but because of that, AD should feel pressure. Austin Reeves should feel pressure. Dennis Schroeder should feel pressure. D'Lo should feel pressure of getting LeBron back to the finals. Mute.
Okay, let's go over to the other coast because, Brian, you said that you were actually shocked what happened. So let's talk about the Heat taking on the Hawks.
Hell
you
yeah.
personally
We
said
all were.
on PTI that you would be shocked if the Heat lost to the Hawks, and they, of course, did. So how shocked are you that this went down?
They got worked in this game. Every definition of the word. The Hawks had more focus. They had more intensity. They were more ready to play. Way more physical. Way more guys contributing. And you know what? I guess I made a mistake on. I misjudged the play-in Hawks. The play-in Hawks are apparently one of the most dominating teams of the decade because they were a 9 seed last year and won their way in and went into Miami, which and the 7 seed had never lost in the play-in. I know we don't have 20 years here, but this was thinking Miami was going to win this game was not a giant leap, and they went in there and took him out. And I will say this for Trae Young, he didn't play his best game, but he set up his teammates. He got them into the flow. And guys, 2 years ago, they upset the Knicks and upset the 76ers. Last year, they went into Cleveland and upset the Cavs to take the last play-in spot. Yesterday, they go in and upset the Heat to take them and force them into another game. I guess you should just never disregard the Hawks. They got worked when they got through the play-in game last year, but this is a very deep team. And so I think Boston will be heavily favored. They are heavily favored, but hats off to them for now 3 straight play-in wins.
Jimmy Butler had the funniest quote after the game. He said, "We just have to play legit the exact other way to win our next game. Just whatever we did tonight, just legit the exact opposite, and we should be fine." Also, tip of the hat to Clint Capella. 21 rebounds. He was cleaning up the mess, and Atlanta's depth, it's been here, been hit, been missed all season, but 4 players combining for 53 points off of the bench. That's gonna be needed against the Celtics team, who has swept the regular series 3-0.
Wow, I love that you just said that because that's our next topic.
I didn't look
Wendy,
ahead.
you said that you are very impressed with postseason Hawks. How confident are you with the Hawks against the Celtics?
0 confidence.
I just kind of painted myself into a corner here. Don't disregard the Hawks. I think the Celtics, they have so much going for them. And now that they're healthier amongst their big men, they're really tough to handle. One of the things that they have done over the last couple of years, adding Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon, it changes really the whole paradigm for them. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to put up points, but having experienced, calming guards that can play both ends like that, it's really hard to beat that 4 out of 7 and go up there without home court advantage. The Celtics have been great defensively for most of the year. The one thing I'll say about Boston is they shoot a ton of three-pointers, a ton. And they got Joe Mazzulla over there going more. So I think what you're going to see from Boston, whether it's in this series with the Hawks or elsewhere, we're going to see big variance sometimes in their offense. Some nights, those Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart threes are going to be going in, and they're going to be like, oh my God, these guys might go 16-0, no one's touching them. They're going to put up 137. And other nights, they're not going to go in, and they're going to look terrible. And the question is, on those nights, do they still have good enough guard play and good enough defense to get by in a postseason series? Against the Hawks, over 7, I think they do. Against the Sixers and the Bucks, could be a different story.
Do you think the Celtics and that young group of guys are going to let the Hawks knock out their old guy, Al Horford, former Atlanta Hawks legend? No way. Celtics going to take care of business. This series is going to be over quickly.
Okay, let's talk about Trae Young, because he had a amazing showing, obviously, at MSG. Do we feel like we are due for another Trae Young villain, but this time, obviously, at TD Garden?
I mean, he lives for this kind of stuff, and that environment is charged. It doesn't have the reputation that the Garden does, but it's more fierce for opponents. The Garden crowd is kind of in a way, more respectful. Like, they will respect great play. The Garden crowd doesn't care. They don't care if you put up 75 on them. They're going to boo you. And so Trae, I think, kind of thrives in that environment. But the problem is, they got some beast defenders, and so he's going to have to really work at both ends of the court. They're going to put him in a ton of pick and rolls, and it's going to be an endurance thing for him. He's going to have to be able to deliver at the end of these games because they're going to put him in that position.
It's such a contrast, though, Windy, right? Because we had him on the show just a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, I'm a likable guy. Yeah, I like to play basketball, but I'm a dad. People should like, I'm a friendly guy. But he's like a killer. He is a killer.
He said it twice.
Yeah.
Trying to talk us into it.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like, guys, trust me. Just who's your source? Trust me, bro. Trae Young's that guy. Like, he could flip the switch. Yeah, so I think he's going to have his moments. I mean, he can turn it up and give you 40 and give you 50 at any moment's notice. But doing that in a 7-game series, I mean, we might see a flash or two of it, but I don't know, man. He was on our show, so he's a friend of the program. I don't want to say too much negative stuff about Trae Young. We know he can go get the points.
Yeah,
just in case he's watching. Hey, Trae.
I'm sure he is
Hot
watching.
living.
Hot living.
He's also a model.
Velvet.
Love that for him. Okay, so we talked a little bit about drama that happened throughout the entire season. There was a little drama that happened off the court. Take a look at this.
Yo, everybody stand up!
Okay, before I talk about what we're actually supposed to talk about, I do want to ask you, specifically Brian Windhorst, about this situation. Is that a real proposal or no?
No, and I've analyzed this for hours today, and I'm prepared to talk about it for the whole segment. First off, definitely not sponsored by the team, because a lot of these times you see stuff that happens, and it's a plant. This is not a plant. How do I know that? Because the game is going on. Number one. Number two, it's right on top of the Raptors bench, and that wouldn't fly in the NBA, even though they were the visiting team. Secondly, this dude or these dudes spent a lot of money on this proposal. They were sitting in the seats that were 4 figures, and he had at least 3 of them, because it was her seat, his seat, and whoever was filming. And the reason I know that it's a fake is because, one, he's looking at the camera and making a face, which he probably practiced 10 times over. 2, he's got a guy with a steady cam with like perfect angle and everything like that. No, it's not real, but it's fun to talk about.
I literally hate fake proposals at sporting events. They're overplayed. But anyways, that got us thinking about which marriages in the NBA have been a rejection so far this season.
Time out,
Jimmy, do you want to give us your thoughts on it?
I'm just saying, you're not going to bring up the fact that is Sean Paul giving the proposal. Like, that's a fall from grace. My guy used to be an R&B hip hop hitter in the early 2000s, and now he's just a YouTube prankster. What is this?
Okay.
And yes, it's definitely fake. Otherwise, if it was a real no, she would not have just sat back down.
Right, and he'd be way more distraught about the fact that he just turned down her proposal.
Sean Paul.
Okay.
You're saying, even if your answer is no, you're saying yes in that moment.
Right, especially if you're really shocked.
I don't think I'm stepping over the line, Christine.
No, you
100%
are. You 100% are. And also, don't propose to women for real at sporting events either. Okay, let's get to the Mavs and Kyrie. So, start in Dallas, where the relationship between Kyrie Irving and the Mavs did not get off to a great start. The Mavs took a nosedive in the standings after the trade went down and missed the playoffs after reaching the Western Conference Finals just last season. And yet, despite all of this, the Mavs behind Luka Doncic seem to be ready to offer a more long-term commitment to Kyrie. So, Gary, I'm going to start with you. Is this marriage destined to fail before it even begins? Wait, I love this picture of Wendy.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Okay, so this is like that prototypical girl who sees the bad boy and she's the one who thinks, you know what, I'm going to change him. I'm going to be the one to make a difference. I'm going to be the one to change his tune and to switch his heart and to turn it from ice to warmth. The Mavericks and Mark Cuban thought that that's what it was going to be. We're still skating on ice, is what I'm thinking. Now, of course, I did say in our production meeting that smart people do marry for money, and the Mavericks and Kyrie still have that fallback plan, because Wendy, Dallas can offer him the most money. And again, if you're not marrying for money, don't tell me you're marrying for love.
Okay, Wendy, what are your thoughts?
Gary was born for this segment, is all I'm going to say. Listen, man, this is about, this is an engagement. This is about the size of the rock. Are they offering $5 and $272 million? He'll get married. If they're not, we may see a wandering eye.
Okay, so on the other side of that Mavs relationship was Jalen Brunson walking his way to New York City in free agency after opting not to sign with him for a 4-year, $57 million in the summer prior. So Luka was quoted saying how much he missed Brunson as a teammate and leader for the team. Meanwhile, Brunson signed a $100 million deal with the Knicks and has had a career year leading the Knicks to a 5 seed in the East, and the marriage within New York is off to a great start. So Wendy, I'm going to start with you on this one. Just the newlyweds effect, or do you think this marriage is going to last? This is adorable, by the way.
This is a love triangle.
Yes.
This is a triangle. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's point guard. The Knicks came into their house last year and sat there and batted their eyes at Jalen Brunson, stole him, and then the Mavericks, the jilted party, cried foul and accused of tampering. Very tough look, very sad story. In China, they say when you've been cheated on, it's called wearing the green hat. The Mavericks wore the green hat. Against, and they'll always wear the green hat. Some of my Chinese friends who've worn the green hat say they never recover from wearing the green hat.
Wow.
Meanwhile, happily ever after, he's never looked better. He's never looking back. He's playing for his dad. He's playing for his godfather as the president. Everything's great.
True.
Listen, do not confuse the green hat with the green jacket, okay? Completely different weekends. And Wendy nailed every single point, not to mention the in-laws are way too in deep with this relationship, right? I mean, you had your father-in-law, well, Jalen Brunson's actual dad. I mean, he was in his son's ear. And once that chatter gets going, watch out.
Yeah, you have to listen to the father-in-law.
Or you don't. Or maybe
not. Okay, so another relationship that has been going steady for a few years now.
Mr. Big Shot!
In fact, this player's whole career is Dame Lillard with the Trailblazers. The man has been loyal to a fault, but at this point, is it best for both parties in this relationship to move on? Brian Windhorst.
This is an ironclad prenup. You've never seen a prenup like they've got here. And to be honest with you, it kind of locks Dame in there because he's got so much money left on that deal that even if he wanted out and the Blazers wanted to trade him, I don't know if they could find a trade where they could get equal value because teams are going to have difficulty swallowing that contract. So I think they're going to be invested for at least another year, but every day that passes makes it harder to trade him at good value, which makes it harder to find a deal.
I think it's one of those relationships too, Wendy and C-Dub, where you just get so comfortable and they might not make you feel those butterflies in your stomach every single day, but it beats the alternative of having to ask that future new somebody, like starting on the ground level of things like, hey, what's your favorite color? No, Dame Lillard and the Blazers, they already know those basic tidbits about one another. Dame and the Blazers don't want to go through that whole process again, go to the bathroom with the door closed, all of that stuff. Step outside when we're feeling a little gassy and things like that. It's just all I'm saying. They're just in a comfortable relationship is what I'm saying.
You're taking this very literally, but thank you for that.
I mean, it's just, we've all been there.
Also, how does Gary manage to maneuver poop into every multiple shows?
I had no idea where he was going, and I'm flabbergasted. But
I didn't say that.
We're doing this segment every episode.
Okay.
Period.
That was really good. Okay, so are you pooping or peeing with the door closed? Does it matter?
I'm just in general.
Just making sure. Okay, so we're going to move on. With plenty of postseason hoops ahead, we figured we'd look back and give a few Hoop Streams shout-outs, starting with the clutchest man in the NBA who led the Kings to their first playoff berth in 16 years. That, ladies and gentlemen, is one De'Aaron Fox. He led the league in numerous clutch categories, including points, field goals, field goal percentage, paint points, and usage rate. Brian, how impressed are you with how clutch of a player he's become?
I am so impressed with this Kings team because this is the most impressive, prolific offensive season in the last 53 years, and they were the #1 offensive team, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't see him becoming an unstoppable force in the clutch. first place on my ballot for most clutch, brand new award, and he might win it unanimously.
G-Money?
Wendy, help us put this into context. If De'Aaron Fox was in any other market, how much of a superstar would he be right now? Because I know everybody who watches and pays attention to the game obviously knows what Swiper does on any given night. But if he was in a bigger market, I mean, would we be talking about this guy every single night?
Well, he had probably a better year than Jalen Brunson, and look how Jalen Brunson dominates the conversation.
Yeah.
So there's your answer.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, so our next shout out is somebody that I honestly wish we didn't talk about as much.
Oh.
That is one, but we have to because he's prevalent all the time. Worst fashion sense, that goes to Dylan Brooks. Not sure what's going on with the hair.
Dylan Brooks is...
This is during the Grizzlies' final game of the season. I'm going to share my thoughts. No.
Please.
Like first of all, is it cold? No. I don't know why you have that jacket on. The hair, I mean, I don't have any, so I feel like I shouldn't comment on that as much. But yeah, Dylan Brooks' fashion, he needs to hire a stylist. That's what
do you mean though? Like, because some of that like eccentric stuff or some of the very unique looks.
There's a way to be eccentric, like the Kuz type vibe.
Okay.
And also like look like you kind of know what you're doing, or like you're trying, like you have a point and an actual reason for doing what you're doing. I honestly feel like Dylan Brooks is just trying to do the craziest thing that he possibly can.
He's just like an extra in a Rick James video.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not even that, because I feel like that, like more thought even goes into that. I don't think Dylan Brooks is thinking that hard. I don't know what you think, Brian, about his fashion choice.
It's working. He's way more popular and famous now than he was 9 months ago because he's playing this villain role, and he's going to keep doing it.
That makes sense. G, any thoughts on his fashion sense?
I got nothing. I mean, I wear the same black shirt every week. I can't comment on anybody's fashion.
Okay. So I want you guys.
His hair is spectacular, though. I have to give him that.
It's pretty solid. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about that. I honestly, I'm not hating, but like it looks fine. Anyways, okay. Biggest beef. Take a listen to this.
Ooh.
Just kidding, we don't have that. So
I was waiting
I'm going to tell you guys exactly what's going. Okay, no, just kidding, we do have it. Listen to this. Listen to this.
If we look at, him and the way he approaches life, fame, all that stuff, that we could see that, his priorities tend to vary, right? Like that's why he dressed the way he does. He, approaches basketball the way he does, the comments he makes. And like I said with the Draymond quote, insecurity is loud. Like you know that you're there, shooting shots to try to get a contract. You're probably not even a third star really on a good team, because if you were, the Lakers would have kept you, right? Part of the reason you left was to try to make more money. Like these are all things that are facts.
Okay, so Kuzma then responded with an avalanche, I know it's crazy, of tweets saying, "I'm usually unbothered by things on the internet, but I will not allow this delusional guy to continue to talk about my teammate and I. Insecurity is loud. The Wizards and I have so much real estate on I'm not sure if I can say that word. It's on the screen though. Island. This guy got signed by a team 60 M's. Oh yeah, we are on YouTube, by the way. I probably could have said that. Anyways, 60 M's and was traded before the following season was over. What in the world have you won in this league? LOL, you've been bounced around like a basketball, my boy. You can thank KD and Kyrie and them for spearheading 34 wins before the All-Star break, 11 and 13 after the break for your playoffs. Second option? More like second point guard, LOL, my man. I watched you for 2 months at the end of your Wizards tenure being the second option. Average 8-4-4. Sounds good, but glad you're hooping now. I got a bag coming. Stop hating. And last but not least, the only way you'll ever be worth your contract is if the NBA finally gives you your wish of getting paid in crypto. Check the markets. And then he left an emoji trending down. G-Money.
So where did this come
What
from?
team are you on? You have to be on a team.
I think I'm going Kyle Kuzma because I appreciated his use of emojis. Like he went triple laughy face when it mattered, but he did one down shift graft. That was cool. I think it was a succinct 6 tweets. Wendy, you say what?
They definitely closed the bathroom door. There's no question about that. The bathroom door is staying shut.
Yeah. They're like, we're staying.
Listen, you can tell why the Wizards traded Dinwiddie after a couple of months. It wasn't working, and I love how Kuzma's like, yeah, I'm getting the bag. Deal with it. I guess I give him the slight nod on that for just kind of humble bragging, and I kind of liked it.
Okay, I will also say that I liked his use of parentheses because I feel like it's like he was really writing a full situation there. He wanted to let people, just so you know this.
Like he thought he was
5-paragraph essay.
Exactly.
He thought he was going to get graded
exactly.
based off of his writing skills, his sentence
I love
structure.
it. I love it. That's how you talk trash. Okay, Wendy, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on this game tonight, Bulls Raptors?
The Raptors, have the advantage. They're playing at home. They have, some experienced guys. They got to take care of business and stay alive, fight another day.
DeRozan's not losing to the former squad. Give me the Bulls.
Oh, all right.
And also, Pascal Siakam, wow. A man of many talents.
Spazzing right now.
Basketballs are a lot heavier than football, or I guess, yes.
Yo, look at Mark
soccer
Jones
balls,
just styling.
So very shocked that he's doing that. Anyways, Wendy, great seeing you per usual. G-Money.
We're done already?
Yeah, we're done at 7 p.m. The game is starting right now.
That flies
Thank
by.
you guys for watching Hoop Streams. Don't propose to people at games, and also keep Twitter beef off of Twitter. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the game. We'll see you next time.
See you, Wendy.